come to the Netherlands and you file a tax return, suddenly you hear a lot about boxes. Box 1, 2, and 3.
Yes.
They're not present wraps, these boxes.
No.
Steve Ten Bokum of the Expat Service. What are these boxes about?
Yes, these boxes are basically the way we have categorized the Dutch income tax system. So we have 3 boxes that each have their own tax rates, tax brackets, and types of income that fall within that box. I will briefly go over each one of them so that you have an idea of what we're dealing with. We have box 1. This is income from work and your residence. Basically, all your active income, as we would call it, falls into this box. So from employment, any freelance activities, or your own business, if that falls within the income tax. And also your own home, which might sound a bit weird because who gets income from the home they live in. But this is actually where one of the main deductions of the Dutch income tax system falls into, which is the mortgage interest deduction, which basically means that if you own your own home where you primarily live and you have a mortgage on that home, then you can use the mortgage interest you've paid to lower your income. And with people who are in employment have already paid their taxes for the income they get from that, we often see very big refunds that they get as a result from that. So that's mainly box 1. Then we have box 2. It's a lot less common than box 1. This is called significant interests. Basically, if you own 5% or more of the shares in a limited liability company, or a BV as we would call this in Dutch, then any income derived from those shares, like profit from selling them or dividends, is taxed within box 2. And then we have box 3 that we also talked about today, savings and investments. This is where basically all your assets fall into, so your bank accounts, investment accounts, and any property that's not your primary residence, they get taxed in box 3.
Yeah, so I hear many people making sure that things are not in box 3, particularly with houses. And, is that all we need to know about the 3 boxes?
Well, that's the main thing. That's the main idea of each box. We can go really in depth on how each box works and what would fall into that. Just know that each of them has their very own system, and I don't know if there's anything in particular you want to discuss about that, because it's a very broad topic. We can go really in depth. Yeah. Anything in particular you want to discuss? Yeah, but
I can imagine that as soon as people come to the Netherlands, they start to own a house, but they may want to move back, or these things come into play, and then it may be pretty specific for internationals. But is box 3 different for internationals as for the nationals? From your body language, I'm not sure that there is too much difference there.
And the main thing is the same, because once you've moved to the Netherlands, then whether you are an expat or a Dutch citizen, you are always seen as a resident taxpayer at a certain point, and the treatment for a resident taxpayer is just a very one-line way. The difference that we often see in like box 3 for expats is that, of course, they have foreign assets that they also need to report.
Like a house.
Like a home, for example, in the country where they lived, or in investment property in another country. I've seen a lot of different situations with that. In general, what you need to remember as an expat is that once you've moved to the Netherlands, you're a resident taxpayer, which means your world income and assets from all over the world need to be reported here. Anything that's then international, we need to look at the convention between the Netherlands and whatever country that asset is located in to see whether or not it will be taxed here in the Netherlands, or whether or not you can claim double taxation relief for that asset.